Hi everyone! So today I'm going to make a short unboxing video as the very nice folk over at jacksonsart.co.uk sent me some of their own brand pastels to try out. So today I'm going to make a quick video giving you a comparison between these and some of the other brands that I like to use. Hope you enjoy the video. So quick bit of unboxing stuff first, as always from Jackson's, really well packaged. And they have also opted to go for the nice sturdy card boxes to display their pastels in. Nice way to store them, and those foam inserts good for keeping them in place. So a really attractive set. Very excited to open these up and have a test at some of the individual colours. So a nice size of stick. You do get a good bit of pastel for your money. The only thing I would say about the label is it's a little large and you can't really see a lot of the lovely colours underneath. So I'm doing a quick bit of a test. I want to try out each colour. And I'm using just a regular sanded paper for this. I chose a dark colour so that you could see all of the lovely shades very clearly. And I'm putting each little blob on and giving it a bit of a blend into the paper just to see how it covers. So one reasonably thin layer of the pastel to see how it covers. And I'm really impressed with the texture of the pastels. And this experiment is just to compare them directly with some of the other pastel brands that I use. I use a lot of Unisons. And these are a similar looking stick. So I'm hoping that I can figure out why there is the cost difference between these brands. So very nice colours from Jackson's. Let's try out a few similar colours from some of my other pastel brands. So the Unison, I do like how they go onto the paper. Really heavily pigmented and they cover in really nicely. This is actually a Gordon Bessin. I only have a few of these pastels, but again, they're a nice soft texture that covers in well. Quite a similar colour, this one, to some of those shades within Jackson's set. And Jackson's pastels are handmade. They also have a range of about 200 colours. And within that range, then they seem to supply the pastels in these lovely colour ordered sets, which are very handy for when you're starting out and you want to bulk up one area of colour that you're really lacking. So another Unison colour on there. Just wanted to test some of the brown earths next to these. And next I'll dip into my lovely pot of pan pastel. A very similar colour to some of the greens. And likewise, it goes on nice and richly. But it's quite different applying the pan pastel. You're putting it on an applicator before the paper. I have uses for the pan pastel, but they're very different style of painting. Next, it's the Daler Rowney. This pastel is a little bit harder, but even so, with some of the nicer, harder pastel brands, you get real strength of colour. You do get good coverage and good colour from the Daler Rowneys. So on comparison there, it's pretty positive for the Jacksons. Perhaps not quite the strength of colour as some of the more expensive brands, but certainly really good. So the next thing I would do with a pastel usually is remove the paper, especially if I'm going to make use of that pastel a lot. And one thing I found about Jackson's papers, they're really sticky, quite difficult to remove, and they do leave a little bit of a funny residue on the outside of the pastel. And I tried another few just to test that out. It doesn't do the pastel any harm, just makes it a little tricky to remove the paper nicely, and that's one of the first things I tend to do with my pastels to break them down and make use of some sharp edges. So one other quick test that I want to do with the pastels is to see how they break. This is something that I do all the time in my work, and I want my pastels to break pretty cleanly, not crumble into a lot of dust. So that's pretty good, and I'm just going to quickly test on two papers that I use a lot of the time how sharp an edge I can get with those pieces. So just to quickly see what sort of nice sharp edges I can get with this. This is on pastel matte paper, which I use quite often. And yeah, I'm really impressed with the texture of these. Nice smooth texture, and they hold together pretty well when I go to make some sharper, more fine marks. Just like I would with my other pastel brands, moving it around, using up those sharp edges that I've just created by breaking it. And this is a bit of white velour. I use velour all the time, not usually white, but I thought I'd use a bit of it for this demo. So I hope that helps just to see how the pastel applies to a couple of different papers. On the whole, I'm really impressed.
So on the whole, these are great pastels if you're just starting out and you're on a bit of a budget and you want to add to your collection of colours a little more cheaply. They're definitely worth trying. I don't think you can expect to find quite the colour range available in other brands. My own favourites, Unisons, have such a fantastic colour range available, and I love the subtle differences between many of the tints. They're not quite there with this yet, but what they do have available is a lovely colour range. I think that they're not quite the same coverage or quality of pigment as some of the more expensive brands. I do see a difference in the coverage there, but for artists just starting out on a budget, I definitely recommend these as one of the pastels you try out.